Hello you lovely lot and welcome to my channel. I'm Katie and we are unboxing and creating with the November UpCrate. If you're new here and you like these kinds of videos, why not hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future ones. Anyway, with that being said, let's talk about what's in the box. This month's featured artist is Anna Reichstein, I think that's how it's pronounced, and we have a very abstract looking print there. And as we delve further into the box, we discover we have blow pens and 3 bottles of acrylic paint. We also have a sponge dabbing tool, a safety knife and a pad of paper, which I will go into a little bit more. As always, we have the UpCrate magazine, which I always enjoy with a nice cup of tea. I have already read this by this point, but I'll probably go through it again because I like reading these things, especially with a brew. And I really do appreciate the amount of effort that goes into these little miniature publications we get with each box. I like the cultural side of things as well as the information about the supplies and how to use them. Now, I can only apologise, but I did swatch these out. Unfortunately, I forgot to press record and I'm a little pressed for time at the moment, so I couldn't quite redo it. But they swatched out like you would expect a blow pen to. You first disassemble it and then rearrange it so, well, you can use it as a blow pen. You don't need me to explain it, surely. We had 4 colours. We had black, blue, yellow and red, so the primaries and a black there. We also had a safety knife, which I actually was really impressed with. It has a ceramic tip, it's very finger friendly, so no accidents there, and it was really good for cutting paper, especially curves. I do tend to find with your box cutter type knives or your surgical type knives, circles, not so good. But this was pretty good. I actually preferred using this to perhaps a swivel blade knife. I'm not a massive fan of those. The surfaces we had to work with were the SMLT Platinum Line painting paper, and those are the white sheets, and we also have SMLT Art Sketchpad paper in grey. Now, it did mention to use the grey paper as what you make your stencils out of. However, I quite liked that as a surface and I wanted to see how these blow pens worked. Now don't worry, I'm not forgetting the acrylic paint. I do actually kind of swatch that a little later in the video because I know how difficult those sponge dabbers are to clean. I kind of just didn't want to have to swatch it and then have to do everything all over again and try and clean this brush. I thought, let's just do it all in one go. We have 3 colours of those paints though. We have a buff titanium, a grey and a black. But anyway, let's talk about what I'm doing on screen. I think I've pretty much covered everything there. So as you saw earlier, I cut out some cloud shapes, and the parts that I'd cut out, I lay down in the same position on the grey paper and used the blow pens over it and tried to create a bit of a starry night sky, but obviously not too dark. And then to add an additional layer, I cut out a tree shape and lay that over the top, as you can see I'm doing now. I did find that using a bit of masking tape did help just to keep everything in place. I'm sure you saw earlier when I was blowing the ink onto the clouds just blew away. And I never thought I'd ever say a sentence like that before. I must admit, I did actually quite enjoy playing with these. I never had them as a kid and never really pursued them as an adult, so it was quite fun to have these in here, and I'll admit I probably enjoyed these the most out of what came in this box. As we are coming up to the festive season, I thought I would do some form of deer and add a bit of a splashy, colourful background. The stencil itself was very easy to cut out because that knife is brilliant, and I inverted it and used the antlers separately. Then I realised I hadn't lined them up properly, but that's okay because the blow pens were pretty good to direct where I wanted the ink to go, and it was just fun. It was just fun. For the last piece, this is where I use the paint, and I thought an owl would be quite nice to be a subject for this. I did actually mix all of the mediums here because I thought, well, why not? I started off by cutting a basic owl out, and the tree I used earlier I thought would come in handy, although composition wise it probably wasn't my best choice, but hey, you know what, I did it anyway. It was mainly, more than anything, just experimenting. It's not a particularly strong medium of mine, it's not something I have a huge amount of experience in, at least with these mediums anyway. I have used stencils before in the past, but I've used mylar sheets, which they're like a thin plastic and you can reuse them quite a few times, so it's good if you're repeating a technique. I've also used something, I think it's called frisk paper. It's been a long time, but that's sort of like a large plasticky sheet of, I want to say washi tape stickiness, so you can reposition it and use it a few times, and that's what I've used in the past. I've never used acrylic paints before. I've usually used inks and spray bottles and done it that way, so using acrylics for me was actually quite a challenge. The paints themselves were very nice, even though acrylics are not my favourite painting medium. They were surprisingly opaque for the consistency of them. They were quite, well, they weren't very runny, but they were quite fluid at the same time. It's hard to describe, but they were a nice consistency. And for the little amount that I picked up on the brush and applied to the paper, I was quite impressed by the colour payoff with it, really. I did find the colour combination of this box a little unusual, to have such muted colours for the paints and then have these really bright colours for the blow pens. I don't know, it seemed like a bit of a funny box this month. Maybe it's just something that's not a personal strength of mine. I had fun experimenting, but I'm not sure if I'm going to pursue this any further. I'll probably end up using the acrylics when I go to my art class on Thursdays, so they won't get wasted. The blow pens were fun. I must admit though, if anyone else has had this UpCrate box and used these pens, did you find they get a bit slobbery? Let me know in the comments down below. But yes, getting back to it, it's not been my favourite box this year. I'm not really sure what I can do else with it that kind of keeps with the theme and the techniques, but I do think the supplies were good nonetheless. And I do like it and appreciate how UpCrate will still introduce new techniques to you rather than repeating a lot of old ones. I mean, you know, they've gone through a lot of boxes now, so I think it's still good they're finding new stuff for us to do. I do hope you've enjoyed this video. I'm sorry it's been short and snappy, but I do hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, I'm sure there are some more videos on screen you're going to enjoy. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you lovely lot soon. Bye!